Gool-Akhtar by Waranavich, a true story from the author's teenage years, in the heart of the evergreen forests of Gilan, where the Sepidrud River dances past lush meadows with a clear and continuous song, and the freshness of the breeze embraces the blossoms, lies a village, silent, yet brimming with the echoes of hidden memories. From that quiet yet heart-warming village came a young bride named Marmar, who had left years ago with her urban-dwelling husband to live in one of Gilan's major cities. That young bride, now a grown woman with children of her own, would return to her village every spring and New Year holiday, spending Nowruz with her family there. Her roots were tied to that land. Deep within her heart, memories of her childhood in that place were etched, and she could not abandon her birthplace. Her village was her Nowruz sanctuary, and she, along with her children, would go there to relive the nature of her childhood beneath the shade of ancient trees. During one of those Nowruz holidays, her eldest son, 16 years old, brimming with the fervent dreams of youth, intoxicated by the beauty of nature. One day, in search of supplies for fishing, he set out along a winding, muddy road, a road perfumed on either side by blooming trees and lined with mud brick houses whose courtyards overflowed with sour orange and cherry trees, scattering the scent of spring in the sunny air beneath an intensely blue sky. Along the way, a mud brick house caught his eye. In its yard stood a thicket of orange trees, a cage hanging from a thick branch, and inside it, a partridge whose song caressed the breeze. The boy was mesmerized by the bird's melody. He stopped for a moment, eyes fixed on the bird's small cage, ears drinking in the sweet song. Behind that sour orange tree, on a porch, stood a girl with eager eyes, gazing out as if through a window of dreams, watching the road and the boy. Her hand rested on the pillar of the porch, her heart pounding. She imagined that the boy's gaze was directed at her and belonged to her. Her name was Gool-Akhtar, flower star, fresh and radiant. Her pure young heart was captured without a word. And alas, the boy neither saw her, nor was aware of her gaze, nor of the love that had blossomed in the thirsty mirage of silence. The tragedy was that each day the boy would return, pause a moment to listen to the bird's song, and leave, never once noticing the girl hidden behind the branches. And the girl, unaware of reality, believed that he was watching her, that he had given his heart to her. So a dewy smile would bloom upon her lips, and with her fingertips she would gently caress her long, black hair, dreaming alone of a love that, behind it, bore the toll of an approaching nightmare. It was the 13th of Farvardin, the end of the holidays. The boy, with his family, and with no sign of the love that had silently taken shape, returned to the city. 5 years passed. The teenage boy was now 21. In the early days of spring, he returned again with his family to his mother's ancestral village. Everything seemed the same. The blossoms, the nature, the breeze and its freshness, and the ever-dancing Sepidrud. But something had changed in the atmosphere of the village. A heavy silence, heavier glances, and whispers flowing through the shade. The young man sensed the eerie, questioning air, but paid it no mind. On one sunny day, the memory of the bird's song came back to him. Without thinking, he set off toward that place. On the way, he encountered Aunt Bamani, a distant relative of his mother. She recognized him and warmly invited him to her home to talk. They went to her house, and after tea and sweets, she asked, "My son, do you remember Gool-Akhtar?" The boy looked at her in surprise and shook his head. "No, who is she? I don't know her." And it was then that a veil was lifted from a sorrowful secret. Gool-Akhtar, the same beautiful girl who had stood on the edge of the porch, the one whose heart had been stolen at first sight of the boy, and who had believed that his gaze was a sign of eternal kindness. She, who in the shadows of despair and hope had waited for years, bitter and longing, turning down many worthy suitors, whispering only one name to herself, day and night, beneath the dark dome of solitude. And alas, she could not bear it. When she realized that the boy would never return, sorrow consumed her. She fell ill and died of grief. It is even said that the partridge, the sweet singing bird, also fell silent and died on the day Gool-Akhtar passed. These were Aunt Bamani's words reaching the boy's ears, lighting a hell fire in his innocent heart. He stood up, a thorny lump caught in his throat. He felt his tongue burning. He couldn't speak, and with stammering breath could only say, I never saw her. I was only enchanted by a bird's song. A bird that, without knowing, stole her from me." Aunt Bamani sighed and said, "Sometimes a single silence changes a person's destiny. If only somewhere, for a moment, you had seen her. In this land, besides your mother, there was and is no girl as beautiful as she." The boy carried his burden of sorrow on his shoulders and left Aunt Bamani's house. He could not remain in that village. Defeated, with a heart full of mourning, he returned to the city. An unseen image, a memory never born, now pulsed in his mind, and he didn't know what to do or how to reclaim peace. So he resolved to return to the village, to go to Gool-Akhtar's grave, offer her a flower, ask her forgiveness, weep, cry aloud, even to ask where they had buried the partridge, that sweet singing bird, and where was the now empty school that had witnessed its flight, so that, perhaps, he might find a sliver of peace after this purgatory of days and nights. But even that was impossible. His relatives warned that it would be dangerous. The villagers blamed him for her death. They believed he had had a relationship with her, and then abandoned her. If they knew or saw him at her grave, they would harm him, perhaps even shed his blood. And worst of all, no one told him where Gool-Akhtar was buried. And so the boy remained in the city. But his heart had been scorched by the spirits of silence in that village, and only the mark of regret pulsed in his chest. A mark of longing, born behind a sour orange tree and on a lonely porch. Each day, in his solitude, he would remember the song of that caged bird and the girl with expectant eyes standing on the porch of the mud-brick house, and his throat would ache from the thorns of unspoken tears. And in his heart, the same murmur would repeat, "How cruel is the nature of this world, when a love is born in silence, and death takes it, before it even has the chance to speak."